timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant. It's a shot! A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range 3.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of this week's 48 Minutes Basketball Network. I am Tim Daniel. I hope you guys enjoyed that new introduction. I worked pretty hard on it the last few weeks, so excited to get that up as we did this rebranding transition. Stoked for this week's guest. Good friend of mine who has been super nice to me over the past couple of years. You can check him out at the Boardroom, where he just had an awesome piece on the 25th anniversary of the Montreal Screwjob. Those who are wrestling fans like me know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. We're here to talk Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found from the Boardroom himself, Mr. Ian Stonebrook. Welcome back, man. How you doing?
Tim, good, man. Good to be back. I love the new intro, too. That was real cool.
Yeah, I taught myself iMovie last week, and that was the first thing I did. And I was like, this doesn't suck. This is one of the cooler things I've done.
Hey, might be a Steven Spielberg, pivot in the future. We'll see. It was real good.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you for the nice intro love here, Derpy. I appreciate you. All right. Well, I got Ian here for just a little bit of time. And we're here to talk about probably, I would say, I don't know, you know a little more than I do, the most anticipated sneaker release of the year, the Air Jordan 1 Lost and Found, bringing back the Chicago colorway. The really cool receipt paper inside the box, classic box with that looks like it has a little wear and tear on it. Ian, you've been covering the shoe game for a long time now. And, anytime the Chicago 1 drop is a very, very, very rare re-retro. I wore a pair of Chicago 1s, a 2013 pair at my wedding. So they're a shoe that holds a lot of near and dear to my heart. It's my favorite sneaker of all time. So for you kind of being a little bit more involved in this shoe game than I am with releases, how do you feel about this re-release coming up this weekend?
Yeah, well, it's funny. It just triggered my memory. I realized I wore Air Jordan 1s at my wedding too this summer.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, black and gold ones. A gift from not wedding related, but a gift from Reggie Saunders, Jordan Brand, real good guy. But yeah, I mean, to me, I think the biggest kind of story on this Lost and Found release is this feels like the first year that that Jordan Brand itself is positioning the Air Jordan 1 as the shoe of the holiday season. Obviously the Cherry 11s are coming out, which I mean, I like quite a bit, you know what I mean? And I don't know what it'll look like in terms of, there's always numbers that float out in terms of, how many pairs are produced, how many are not. I don't know the inside baseball on that yet. But yeah, I think the fact that they're showing love to the OG, like in, worn fashion. I mean, I definitely think the cats like Curated Van, who have, kind of made like refining and refurbishing Air Jordan 1s, like part of their, hustle and things like that, I think is cool. Like the Good Burgers, the Foxtrot uniforms, people that have been, doing similar stuff, either like on the vintage vintage catalog or ad side. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm curious too. Once we see a bunch of pairs of them out, or even if we will, it feels like they're going to make a lot. It feels like a lot of people want them. I'm curious to see, like, if they're really getting worn. You know what I mean? I see a lot of Air Jordan 1s of the of the high top kind of elevated GR variety in real life. I'm hoping that these, I'm hoping that whoever buys them wears them. You know what I mean? I think the stocking stuff is getting a little corny. So I hope to see them out on feet.
I agree. Like I said, that's my favorite colorway ever. Obviously, as a Bulls fan, it was near and dear to my heart, especially as a Reds fan too, being in Cincinnati. Obviously, a lot of different color matches I could do in my wardrobe with that. For you, why do you think the Air Jordan 1 has kind of taken on this? I've referenced it to saying it's our generation's Chuck Taylor. And what I mean by that is, the Chucks are granted, the Chucks are a much cheaper sneaker, But everyone and their mother at some point in life has had a pair of Chucks in different colors, high tops or low tops. And Jordan 1 is kind of taken on as well. The lows have become really popular. I hate the mid hating, like just if people wear what they want to wear, let them hack it. And then of course, like the high tops, whether it be, the shattered backboards relaunching, the Breads or the Jordan 1 Chicago's, the Carolinas, or, you have like the Court Purples, or you have the Pine Greens, or you have the Rookie of the Years, which is one of my favorite releases of the shoe ever. Really wish I still had my pair. Or then you have like the Off-Whites and things like that. Why do you feel that shoe has kind of taken on this life of its own where it's like become like I said, like I guess in a roundabout way, like I said, this generation's version of the Converse high top Chuck Taylor shoe?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's this time. I mean, I think like the Chuck, I remember my mom putting me in Chucks when I was, well, I don't remember. I've seen the shoes, but I was too young to remember. There's kind of as a parent that cool, like, nostalgia one feels, for, the little ones per se. But I mean, I think like the Chuck Taylors, his music and lifestyle that gave it a second life with the generation before us. Like respectfully, I think that people that were consuming the Chucks as a lifestyle shoe in the last, last 30 years per se, it was less about, Bill Russell, rest in peace, or some of the great basketball players who wore it. It was kind of like the rock and roll cachet. Even though I know, like, say, Kurt Cobain was more like a one-star guy. It's the same thing with the Air Jordan 1. I mean, like, love them or hate them, and it's a tough ass time right now to feel kind of on the love end. But like, Kanye wearing them in 2011, and kind of that kind of Watch the Throne, to kind of use this window or whatever, gave the shoe a whole new life in the lifestyle realm. Because anybody that was into sneaker collecting in the mid to late 2000s will tell you, the Air Jordan 1 was an outlet shoe, and I don't even mean that as like on some like gatekeeper, like, I think get 6 of the Marshalls, it's not about there's better good shoe on sale and have to pay more than it costs. But yeah, for whatever reason, Jordan Brand did a really good job of, I'd say like from the Kanye kind of unofficial cosign or whatever, it proliferated into pop culture with other artists kind of copying him or, taking to it themselves. And then Jordan Brand did a good job internally in terms of kind of rebaking it with, kind of closer to original shape, better leather, better storytelling, better details. Because that's one of the things too, like when the Air Jordan 1 was perhaps not as successful culturally, critically, commercially, whatever you want to call it, in the late 2000s, it wasn't just like people ain't like ones. The ones that they were making and a lot of other releases in that era just were not made as well. Even though right now it feels like anybody could sell anything just because the fever pitch is so high. But, Jordan Brand really did a good job of just repositioning it as a pinnacle product, because for a while it wasn't. And now, everybody and their mom's wearing them now. So it's like you said, it is that Chuck this generation.
Yeah, I think for me, what I kind of realized how big it got, because I remember in middle school, the first time I saw a kid wearing them and just being so jealous. I had a buddy from the 7th grade that had a pair of Chicago's. That must have been the 04 pair. I know I'm a little older than you, but 03, sorry. Got my dates mixed up.
I know I want to say they did Breads in 01, and then the Chicago's would have been kind of that, I'm trying to think, I think the Black Tone 60 plus pack, but
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So, I'm drawing a blank now. It's
I'll have to research.
Yeah, deep in that. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying.
But like just being like, wow, like being the fact I'm in my early 30s, so I didn't see like the Jordan 1 launch, and I didn't see when Michael played for the first time. And I remember like always thinking they were cool. I think to me, like what I remember getting the biggest for like that I recall and like really catching attention was the Ben Simmons draft 2016 was when the Breads commercial came back, where they showed like the band, like they did the X's over the shoes, and Nike relaunched that campaign. And just from there, later that year, the Black Toes come out, which I somehow got a pair from Lapstone and Hammer. Still don't know how that worked out in my favor, but still have them. wore them when I covered a game this week, but it just seems like that was kind of like, you mentioned the Kanye West thing, and that was like, oh, okay, yeah, this trend's coming back. And it was like when that commercial hit and those shoes came back out, it seems like since then it's been like through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, it's the shoe that kind of spoke to almost like the next progression of like sneaker culture and menswear. Can't even really say menswear because a lot of it's a very gender fluid shoe now. And obviously a lot of fashion is that same way. But yeah, it was definitely that mid to late 2010s when kind of you know, people kind of, worn out, the joggers and running shoes phase, and I mean that's a good thing. Like today, trends are kind of irrelevant. You know what I mean? There's just so much product, so much information about different eras of fashion or whatever that I don't know that anything's ever really truly in or out of style now. Maybe
True.
that's just me becoming an old guy and talking, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it definitely was the back half of the last decade is when it really heated up, and yeah, I mean that the Chicago one and the band one, there's it's kind of as much as I'd zag or kind of be a hipster and say, oh, I'd rather have like orange metallics or like some something a little bit more off the beaten path of originals. Those shoes just speak to everybody. They're instantly identifiable.
So we talked, obviously this is a big deal in the shoe community. There's been for years conversations about making sneakers a more fair opportunity for people. And there's a lot of conversation about, I know Nike's kind of touched on and released pressers. Do you feel the changes they've made have made it a little bit more fair for people to have their chance on this app?
I hope so. I mean, I've never bought anything off sneakers in my life. And it's kind of more just because I'm an old fogey than like anything against the platform or whatever. I tried to buy like a Fear of God Nike basketball shirt once and didn't get it. I was like, yeah, I'm probably good. Like if I can't get a t-shirt, man, this one might not be for me. But yeah, I mean, I hope it's fair. I mean, like I think back to, I believe it was 2016 when the Space Jams came back. And granted, a lot, I'm sure, I'd have to look at the launch date of sneakers. I believe sneakers was maybe like 2014. I'm just throwing out random dates. I'm not sure, but I want to say mid 2010s. But I say it all to say is like that was for all the years of an Air Jordan 11 launch being tense. You know what I mean? Like not even like, obviously in some areas violence, in some areas even where it wasn't, just like, I got up at 4 a.m, got to the mall at 5. Like
Camped out.
if I don't get these, it's gonna be a bummer. You know what I mean? Like, they only come out, that time they only came out once a year, this, that, and the third. But I remember randomly being at the mall, Christmas shopping the day the Space Jams came back in 2016, and just seeing everybody lined up with a smile on their face. They'd already, done the, reserve a pair, however it was going at, the particular mall or, retail chain at that time. And it was like, this is, if not how it should be, at least how it could be, especially when considering the holiday season. So to kind of roundabout answer your question, I don't know. And I guess we won't know, till that drop date comes. But I do see this being I think that this is going to be one of the ones, no pun intended, with more pairs made. But I really don't know, man. But I hope it's fair. You know what I mean? And I hope people wear them because I'll be honest, if I'm Jordan Brand, I'm doing this every year.
Yeah,
come back
for
again,
sure.
just like the 11 became a thing. I mean, really, tear out that calendar so that fall, holiday, back to school, all-star, everything, like there's an event shoe and there's something that the public is program sounds kind of like a strong word, but like is always is anticipating, or even can budget, oh man, like I can only do the ones or I can do the 11s, but like to have at least a couple things for people to go after and get excited about, rather than just kind of all or nothing or super limited.
Yeah, because I've got to the point where I just accepted I'm just going to do 1s, 4s, and 11s. That's like, because I just had too much. when you're having a baby, you got to make some cutbacks.
Congrats.
And yeah, that's justifiable. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm with you, but this is like my first time. It's like, okay, if I somehow hit these, I have to hold off on the cherry 11s in December because it's because this is the shoe I prioritize. But yeah, I've had a really good run with the 11s the last few years, between the Breads coming out a couple years ago, the Cool Grays last year, and I would just like to keep my holiday luck going. And I'll take the rest of the losses all year if I can get my holiday luck going.
Well, definitely. I mean, I think you right there made the point I was attempting to make. I feel like most people that have pursued Air Jordan 11s in the last 5 years have had a similar run of luck. Whether they got them on launch day or they got them on a restock, or even if they paid, maybe 30 over box on resale, where when you look at 10 years ago, it was not that way. So I think that this is kind of a maybe positioning a bit of, I mean, within sneaker culture, I would say that ones have been more sought after than 11s in terms of the maybe like niche core, if you will, or the
Absolutely.
vocal internet, or whatever you want to say. I mean, I'd have to look at sales numbers, because you can hear things on the internet and believe a lot of things that aren't true, or whatever else. But it feels like, with, like you said, like returning to the most recognizable, if not 1A, 1B, in terms of Air Jordan 1s, and then also doing a new 11 color, but just kind of slightly left of center, that it's kind of Jordan Brand recognizing, like, we have one audience, but within it there are two big audiences, and we're going to give them both something this holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, when it's like the patent bread ones came out, I want to say late last year. Maybe I have my timing off.
Yeah,
And I remember I was like, I can live without having them. And then I saw Roman Reigns wear them on an episode of SmackDown and went, they look cool. Got to get them. Still didn't get them, but they're on my. I'm eyeing them.
definitely a striking shoe in person. And it's funny because when they did, maybe that was kind of a pump fake in a way, because when they did that last year, I think it was, I want to say right after Christmas, somewhere, maybe like the 26th, or maybe right around the 30th or whatever. I'm blanking on the date, but I was like, oh, like this is the new formula. Like after we give the masses the 11, a week or two before Christmas, right afterwards, when people got that Christmas cash, we're going to do a patent leather one, and we'll probably start with the bands, then do like a patent Chicago or patent Royal, or whatever else. And instead they kind of went the opposite direction with the kind of OG aged aesthetic. So yeah, I don't know, but I say that all to say is, they could if they did a aged one, a patent one, an original 11, and a new one, all in 2 months, I think people would still be pretty excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I promised you 20 minutes. We're just about that point. Before we get out of here, any stories, anything on Boardroom you have coming up? You're allowed to tell us that is coming up?
Oh man, that's a good question. A lot of stuff. I mean, we got like I said, a super talented team of writers and video team and social and stuff. So, I mean, honestly, I just say go to boardroom.tv, every day or anytime you got a chance, because, we're publishing much more content these days. I know personally still have some kind of storytelling around some of the city jerseys. That's a little bit of a deeper dive.
Yeah.
That's been fun, but yeah, I'd have to look at the calendar, but it's busy. Maybe something on these shoes the next couple of days. We'll see.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Ian, I always appreciate your time, man. Thanks for taking some minutes to hang out with me. I appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Tim. I like that bull shirt too.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And like Ian said, if you be sure to check out boardroom.com. If you want to continue to support 48 Minutes Basketball Network, please go to 48minutesbasketballnetwork.merchmake.com. Check out some of our gear we have there with this brand new sweet logo you see in the top right corner above Ian's head. With that being said, I'm Tim Daniel. We're going to wrap this up. Have a good night, everybody.